have taken the red pill, that are starting to understand female nature a little bit more. And you know, nature is nature, right? So there's no fighting it. You just got to work with it and work with it the best you can. You know, some of the best women that really understand men work really well and have good relationships with men. Some men that understand women really well know how to work with women and have great relationships with women. Unfortunately, that is the vast minority these days due to the shit show of social dynamics in male-female relationships that have been caused by feminism and the indoctrination. You know, the public school indoctrination camp, as Coach says, at the university indoctrination camps, and the indoctrination camps which we call the TV, and basically every movie that's been made in the last 10 years. But that's none of my business. I wanted to get into this today because there are some of you currently living in relationships that are abusive. Some of you know this already. Some of you are unaware. Hopefully, this will bring your awareness to the forefront so you can either do one of two things. Learn how to deal with it, learn how to mitigate that, and actually offset that behavior and put boundaries in place, or run a fucking mile like Forrest Gump. So here we go. Relationship diaries. Being in coronavirus lockdown has made me realize I live with an abuser. John says he ignored some red flags early on in his relationship, and now isolation has become a quote unquote pressure cooker. So, you know, for anyone who didn't get that metaphor, I'm sure most of you have. Pressure cooker is basically where you put stuff into this cooker. It heats up, it contains the pressure builds up and builds up and builds up, and then it explodes, right? And you've heard this on the media. If you still watch it, sometime, like I keep an eye on what's going on so I can weed out the bullshit, and also so that I can read between the lines with things and actually still get the information I need without buying into their slanted narrative, their slanted storyline. So, with respect to that, I don't even know what I was going to say. That's cool. But yeah, look, pressure cooker, right? So, thank you so much to Roshi Sama. Says, hey, where the sluts at, my neka. I see you. Appreciate that, man. As part of a new series called Relationship Diaries. This is their writing, not mine. I is sharing people's stories about connections and issues that matter. The government's instructions for people to stay home to control the spread of coronavirus is feared to cause a rise in domestic violence cases. We just got a sponsor for this video, Aussie MGTOW Bear, with $100. Thank you, brother. Says, God bless you, Sydney MGTOW. God bless you too, Aussie MGTOW Bear. I got your email the other day. I'll respond to that after this video. So yeah, there's been a rise in calls to women's domestic violence services. But what we don't realize is that this rise is largely caused by women that don't like the way that men have responded to their abusive behaviors. A lot of women have never been told that they're abusive, or have never been told that they're behaving in a negative way, which wouldn't be tolerated if the same thing happened with a man. And here's the thing, when you celebrate bad behavior by women by going, that's so funny that you smacked him in the head with a teapot and it smashed, right? When women have Facebook groups like Bad Girls Advice that celebrate this stuff and laugh about domestic violence stories, if you don't believe me, leave a comment in the comments after this video finishes live, and I will send you a link to it. You can check it out for yourself. Right, so when you not only allow, ignore, and even encourage bad behavior from females, and yet you condemn deeply the exact same behavior from men, do you really think that men and women are going to behave with a similar level of accountability? Of course not, because half of them aren't being held accountable. That's the point. So when when you can't be held accountable for bad behavior, right? Like let's say for example, right? Let's say for example, I'm emotionally abusive towards my partner, right? Because I'm never held accountable for my behavior. Let's say, right? For argument's sake, I'm giving you a hypothetical here. And then she then attacks me back, right? For being a piece of shit to her. If I'm not held accountable for my behavior, I can then run to the authorities and be like, oh, my partner smashed a teapot over my head. They're like, oh, poor you, poor you. We're not going to hold you accountable for anything you've done because you're the victim. That's exactly what's happening right now. And men are the perpetrator and women are the victim. And you know who says that? The Duluth model. The Duluth model that was founded in 1981 by Ellen Pence and a bunch of women's rights activists who were not even qualified in their field, but just were activists, like the purple-haired, green-haired, nose ring wearing, head shaved, barely anything wearing, slut walking feminists that we see today. Anyway, look, that's a whole new rant. I'm not going to go into that because I want to keep this video nice and short and sweet for you guys today. And hopefully any one of you that are currently dealing with an abusive woman are going to put a stop to it after this video. Fingers crossed. The government's instructions for people to stay home to control the spread of coronavirus is feared to cause a rise in domestic violence cases. While some support organizations have closed their centers, others are keen to get the message out that their services are still running, such as the Refuge. The link is in here. I don't know if it's for men or women, this Refuge, or both. John, who is in his 30s, tells Claudia Tanner that he suspected his partner of just over a year was abusive, and being isolated with her at home has now confirmed it for him. He writes, I can remember the first time Alex got angry at me. We'd been together a few months and I was really shocked at the way she turned on me. I promised her I would do something for her. I don't want to go into details as I'm afraid it might identify me. And I got distracted by something and then it was too late to do that thing for her. She went ballistic at me and threw a TV remote control at me that just missed my head. Admittedly, I'd let her down. So he's taking accountability, right? But it was a small-scale demeanor. She seemed really sorry and blamed work stress as well as her hormones. By the way, did you know that over 1 million women have been diagnosed with having a condition which makes them psychotic during their period? And yet there are the other 90% of women are going around undiagnosed. If you don't believe that there is something that causes women to go psychotic during their periods, also drop me a comment after this video live finishes, and I will share the link for that also. But a few more similar incidences. So yeah, he gave her the benefit of the doubt, basically. But a few more similar incidences happened in our first year together. Not even 12 months, right? Look how short a period Johnny Depp and Amber Heard were for together. Does that make sense? I'm not sure. I had another. I didn't. Fuck it. I'm going to continue. I was never physically hurt, but Alex's emotional outbursts were extreme and upsetting. I felt afraid she could hit me. She'd scream and smash glasses or objects. She was always very apologetic afterwards and vowed she would change, and I always believed her. I knew earlier on that something didn't feel right with Alex and did see the red flags. Looking back, the first was that she'd frequently be dismissive of my opinion, and it would hurt when she'd laugh at me, but I'd ignored the signs. Firstly, I'd fallen in love with her. And you can easily convince yourself that no one's perfect and you must love them, warts and all. Also, we were super affectionate and we had such fun and great sex that I would dismiss the bad and think it was worth it overall because of the good things. So, I dismissed my doubting voices and Alex and I moved in together late last year. Now, being forced to isolate just the two of us under one roof has been really intense. These are challenging times for everyone. It's natural to be anxious about this virus and you're cooped up in the same four walls, unable to socialize or do anything. There is the additional problem for us that Alex is self-employed and has lost her income. It's been like a pressure cooker. Alex has been having meltdowns every few days and taking it out on me. She's angered by the smallest thing. If I don't get the food she asked for, or if I've not kept the house immaculate, she will scream, slam doors, and throw plates. She hasn't actually hit me, although she's threatened to several times. I know things are tough for her, and she's struggling with a feeling of loss and control. I keep focusing on trying to make things better for her, but no matter what I do, she finds fault. The other day, she told me off for eating too loudly. She makes me feel worthless and useless. I try to stay quiet and not answer back, but that often enrages her more. Lockdown has made me realize that I'm in an abusive relationship. Yesterday, I broke down in the shower and cried silently as I could, so she didn't hear me in case I upset her further. I feel like I'm walking on eggshells. I've begged her to stop, and she is no longer apologetic. The narrative has changed, and she says I'm making her like this. It's clear she feels entitled to use me as her emotional punching bag. With just the two of us and no outside, I'm now seeing her true colors. The worst thing is the feeling that I'm in an enclosed space with someone who I don't feel safe with, who I love and long to feel secure with, and there's no escape. It's a living nightmare. I've also had a lot of time for self-reflection. I've seen Alex as the victim and felt really sorry for her. She'd had a difficult childhood, and I figured she lacked emotional regulation, that is, the skills to control her behavior and reactions to things. She struggles with difficult feelings, such as disappointment and frustration at things not going to plan. That I let so much slide has made me take a look at myself. I don't think I'm codependent, but I am an empath, able to sense what people around them are thinking and feeling, and I definitely have got too wrapped up in it trying to fix, quote unquote, fix Alex, and I haven't looked out for myself. I'm also a little too idealistic, and I just want to fall in love and for it to work out. I've debated how aware she is about what she's doing. I'd like to think she doesn't mean to hurt me, but I've realized it's irrelevant. Her behavior is abusive, and that's not okay. I feel up against this is literally how it's written, so don't blame me. I feel up against on many levels. Firstly, talking about abuse can be difficult for anyone. It can be painful and confusing and make you feel ashamed and inadequate. Most domestic violence is directed at women, but men can be victims too. So secondly, it can be challenging for men to speak out, as we feel we should be tough and macho. You also worry about people believing you. And thirdly, it's isolating enough to be in an abusive relationship, but right now I feel extra alone as there are actual barriers to escaping my tormentor. I've decided I need to leave for my safety and sanity. It all feels so difficult right now while we're on lockdown. Who is doing rental viewings? I also feel I can't leave her while she has no income. The only thing keeping me going is my daily walk. Outside I feel some peace and escape from the misery. It's my alone time where I recenter and envisage a future where I'm happy and feel safe. My video chats with my family is some light relief, but it also makes me feel uneasy because I'm hiding what's really going on. Freedom is about so much more than just being able to go to the pub or on holiday. Every person has the right to live a life free from abuse. If you are worried about a loved one or about isolating with a perpetrator, women can call Refuges Hotline. For male victims, there is Mankind and Respect. So this is a UK news story. I've put the source in the link description below, and I believe Mankind is actually pretty decent. That's my understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong, anyone from the UK. Now, I just wanted to pick apart this a little bit. Right? I just wanted to pick this apart a little bit because there were some things that didn't sit right with me. And this guy, look, he's still not aware of what's really going on. He's still not red-pilled. He's still a little bit... I hate to use this word for victims, but he's a little bit of a mangina. And by that, I mean he's really still making excuses for bad behavior of women, which is something you should never do. because it just enables them. It seriously does. Godmother, one of my faithful mods who's been around for a long time, I appreciate it, says, if you're a gun owner, never call up these men's help or mental health lines. You'll lose your guns. Do not do that in Australia. I don't know about America. I'd imagine that's the case for most of them. And if you're Johnny Depp, you record everything. Everything! And I would avoid calling most places in the UK. I believe this this particular service in the UK called Mankind is different. Go and check out their website, see if they actually help male victims or if they just try and teach them how to be better to women. Because if the second part is true, then you avoid it at all costs. Anyway, he was shocked at the way she turned on him. So that's the first sign that he's not red pill aware. Here we go. So this is obviously very, very recent because lockdowns only happened not too long ago. Alex's emotional outbursts were extreme and upsetting. So it is actually pretty upsetting for a guy. Look, let's be real. It is pretty upsetting for a guy to actually come under attack from the one they love. If you really care about them, it is actually quite heartbreaking if you really care about them. If you've chosen well, if you have red pill knowledge, you wouldn't have gone anywhere near someone who's that psycho. And if they have an outbreak like that towards you or lash out, you're like, surprise, surprise, right? It doesn't hurt you because you're aware that it's something that is inherent in someone who is hormonally unbalanced. She was always very apologetic afterwards, because if she apologizes, she's expecting you to say it's okay, which then validates her behavior. So she's no longer the bad guy because you said it's okay, because she's now absolved of any bad behavior. Because if you go, oh, that's okay. Underground MGTOW says Sydney MGTOW lives in his car as a garden gnome. Actually, I just got my new seat delivered today. It's still in the box. I can't wait to get this thing together, because that will be the second comfortable seat that I own. The one in the car here and the one that I'm about to put together. So yeah, she was very apologetic afterwards. Look, if a woman apologizes to you for something, just go, look, I understand you. Don't say it's okay. Never say it's okay, because you absolve her of all responsibility for bad behavior. What you say is, look, I understand that you're really upset and frustrated, so I'm not mad at you for being like that, because you're not mad at her for being like that because you understand why she is like that, right? Do you see the difference? Right. I'm not mad at you because I understand that you're really upset. What I would say is that while I understand that you got really upset this time, I'm not going to tolerate this behavior moving forward. Right? Look, say this after she's calmed down, of course. Say, I'm not going to tolerate this behavior moving forward, because it's just not something that sits well with me, and I think it's important we have healthy boundaries. I knew earlier on that something didn't feel right, and I did see the red flags. So if you see the red flags, make like Forrest Gump and run, Forrest, run! Get the hell out of there now. Save yourself before you've got some real problems on your hands. Because I'm telling you, if you're in most Western countries, like even Spain and Mexico and like even Europe, they're starting to become very feminist now. And it's only a matter of time when feminists start to take over that all of the social services start to get taken over as well. They give advice to the government on legislation. The legislation becomes feminist, and they have you by the balls the moment they cry foul, even if it's not justified, even if it's false claims. So if you see red flags, run. Dismissive of your opinion, yeah. If you're in a relationship with someone where her opinion matters, but yours doesn't, get the fuck out now, because you haven't even had kids yet, right? Kids, like when you have kids, that shit gets emotional, right? Like that's a whole new level of importance. So when you're dealing with your kids, like you're going to have an opinion on things, and your opinion's important. Like that's your kids, you know what I mean? Like this is you raising the next generation. This is you raising your flesh and blood. So if your opinion doesn't matter now, you think it's going to matter when you have kids, right? Because her opinion is going to be even stronger when it comes to both of your kids, and that and she's going to take the position they're my kids, right? And and I'm not letting you dictate how I raise my kids because they're no longer your kids. Because guess what? Your opinion that it's your kids, that doesn't matter. Because it didn't matter then and it won't matter now. So beware. First, they had fallen in love with her, and you can easily convince yourself no one's perfect. Yeah, you actually can really easily convince yourself that no one's perfect, right? And the reality is that no one is. So it's a very easy thing to believe and very easy thing to convince yourself of. The reality is it's not going to happen though. It's just not. Don't. She needs to fix herself. You're not going to be able to fix her, right? You can support her in whatever way you can, but there's supporting someone and fixing them. You can support someone who's not broken, right? But if you try and support someone who's broken, they need fixing. But they need fixing of their own accord, not of yours. Don't try that. Super affectionate and had great sex. Yeah, it can be very, very easy when you're having great sex to dismiss the bad stuff because great sex is hard to come by sometimes. It's just how it is. For the fortunate of us who are really good in bed, we're able to bring out that monster in girls. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Just depends on whether you're compatible or not. Just really, it's situation based, case by case. So he dismissed the doubting voices. That's another thing not to do. Don't dismiss your instinct. Don't dismiss the voices that are like, hey, I told Shrek this was a bad idea. Then there's the additional problem that she is self-employed and has lost her income. So that's another thing, right? When they lose their income, they then lose their independence, and they get angry that they feel like they're being controlled by you because they're the ones that have to come to you for the money, right? They no longer control you, but because they no longer control you, they try harder to control you. Does that make sense? And yes, there are some women that are very grateful that are not earning the income. They're not the breadwinner, and they respect their husbands. Unfortunately, though, the younger generation, you will find that that's a rarity to find someone from that particular demographic, particularly if that person's gone to university or if they listen to feminist crap or if they're on social media a hell of a lot. I mean, not all. I just find that tends to generally be true. She's angered by the smallest thing. If she's angered by tiny things, oh Nelly, when you do something that's really worthy of being pissed off about, like there's going to be blood. And guess what? The blood is going to be blamed on you. Not her, you. The police will take her side. The authorities will take her side. The courts will take her side. And all of your assets will be moved over to her side because her feelings about something that she caused. And I'm not saying that women cause domestic violence, period. I'm saying a lot of women do. And when that happens, really it's on them. Just like if men were to start it and women reacted, it would be on the men. Just so happens that women start it more often than men do, and that's been proven in multiple studies from multiple reputable, quote unquote, Ivy League universities, right? That are like pushing feminism. So for them to come out with findings that are inherently not agreeing with feminists, those findings must be pretty heavy and must be pretty true. So she's angered by the smallest thing. If he doesn't get the food she asked for, she gets mad, throws plates, slam doors, threatens to hit. This is all stuff that's classified as family violence that women get men on all the time, that women get men kicked out of the house for. And yet, because we're inherently non-adversarial towards the ones we love, until such time as we've had emotional triggers that push us way past that point of our threshold, whatever that threshold is. We don't often respond. But women, quite often, they want us to respond. They want us to challenge them. They don't want us to be physically violent most of the time, but they want to be challenged. So they push us until we challenge them. And then, of course, if they don't like the way we challenge them, then that's considered domestic violence. Ridiculous. I keep focusing on trying to make things better for her, but not for himself. Put yourself first, men. But no matter what I do, she finds fault. Yeah, that's because she doesn't respect you. And she's always going to try and find fault in anything. Because if she finds fault in something you do, even if you haven't done anything wrong, then you're wrong and she's right. So she feels better about herself because of that. He broke down the shower and cried silently. Man, when a guy cries, like that's like a guy's got to be put under an immense amount of pressure to break down and cry. Like, speaking from experience, right? A lot of us at some point have cried. Whatever that thing is, it's usually as a breakdown, like after crippling amounts of pressure that just weighs down on us, like the weight of the world and then a few extra planets. I feel like I'm walking on eggshells. Yeah, I think a lot of us can relate to that if we've dated before. I begged her to stop and she's no longer apologetic. Yeah, you know why? Because when you beg her to stop, you're saying, hey, stop, that's bad behavior. Which tells her that you're not validating her behavior, which is why she's becoming aggressive. So if you lay the boundaries and say no from the beginning and she flips out, run. Just put your joggers on, grab your shit and run. This is why you shouldn't have a woman living in your house. Because if you have a woman living in your house, right, if it's your house, like if it's her house and she's renting it and you're going halves in the bills and stuff, cool. Because you can always leave, right? Because it's her house. Have your own investments and whatnot, that's cool. But have the ability to get out. Because you don't want to leave your own house behind. Because if you leave that house and she puts forward some domestic violence allegations, true or not, you can't leave. You can't get back in your house. Whereas if you're in her house and she makes false or true violence allegations, well, you're out of the house no matter what, by choice or by force. But it's not your house, so big deal, right? The narrative has changed, and she says, I'm making it like this. So now she's now blaming him for telling her to stop because she's behaving badly. And this is the path that it goes down when you're with an abuser. It feels clear she's entitled to use me as her emotional punching bag with just the two of us. Yeah, that's exactly what she's doing. And he doesn't feel safe, and there is no escape, and it is a living nightmare. That's correct. Now, here's the thing, right? Here's what you should avoid also. And this is really important, guys, so listen up. Seriously, like, take this to heart. This is some real freaking shit right here. Yeah, a sec. I've seen Alex as the victim and felt really sorry for her. Right, look, it's one thing to feel empathy for someone. It's another thing to see them as the victim. Because if you see them as the victim, then anything that you do that doesn't appease them further victimizes them in your mind on an unconscious level. So be very careful of that, guys. She struggles with difficult feelings such as disappointment and frustration at things not going to plan. So if things don't go her way, she loses it, basically. So basically everything has to go exactly her way or she's going to flip out. Now, I mean, is it just me or did I see something in there that she'd actually had problems in her childhood? I think I did. I'm gonna look. I'm not gonna go through the whole thing, but I'm gonna finish up on this particular point. This is really important. So he said most domestic violence is directed at women. See, he's swallowed the Kool-Aid. He's drunk the Kool-Aid. Most domestic violence is directed at women. Well, if you actually knew what the full definition would be, then you would know that majority, it's pretty much on par, just in different forms. And he says, secondly, it can be challenging for men to speak out as we feel we should be tough and macho. No, we don't speak out because women shame us for it, and we have no interest in hearing that crap. Right? Whether the shame affects us or not, we're like, why would we even listen to you spouting this shit at us? Right? Why would we even open our mouth and share something with you that's going to result in you spouting bullshit at us? We're just not going to talk to you about it because it's a waste of time. And I don't like wasting my time. I got more productive things to do. Can be challenging for men to speak out as we feel should be tough and macho. Look, it's not about being tough and macho. It's about realizing that speaking out is not beneficial to us, doesn't benefit us, so why should we do it? You also worry about people believing you. That's true. Worried about the authorities not believing you. Because as man, MSM eats shit, mainstream media eats shit indeed. Just said the authorities will take the female side. What a fitting time for your comment to just appear on my screen. And yeah, I mean, look, that's really it, guys. So I'm gonna leave it at that. I just wanted to again thank my boy. I don't like messing up the order of these names. I want to thank Roshi Sama for the $5 donation and Aussie MGTOW Bear for the $100 sponsorship of today's video. I appreciate you, man. And I wanted every single one of you guys to take stock. If you're in a relationship, if you're in a marriage, if you're in any sort of relationship in whatever form with a woman, I really want you to take stock of exactly what is going on in that dynamic with you and your female I'm going to say compadre because it could be your mother, it could be your sister, it could be your girlfriend, it could be your fuck buddy, it could be your wife, it could be the mother of your kids and you're not together anymore, whatever the case. But you just need to be really careful. You need to identify these. You need to go onto the police website for your jurisdiction, find out what classifies as domestic violence, collect as much evidence as you can in the form of video and audio recordings. Make sure you comply with the recording legislation in your state to make sure that you are not non-compliant and that you are not breaking any laws. Get as much evidence as you can. Go to the police with a witness. Make sure it's heard. Have recording going while you're speaking to the police so that if the police don't listen to you, then you can sue the fuck out of them as well. Cover your back. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, guys, thank you so much for that. I appreciate you guys. If you want to support this channel, you can do so via PayPal and crypto in the description below. Alternatively, you can always drop a super chat in any of my videos. And if you want to check out Brave Browser, which is an alternative to Chrome browser, which operates exactly the same but without the snoopware that Google has in theirs, and you want something that's nice and fast and efficient with cool extensions and plugins, I suggest you head on over to sydneymctow.com/brave. Check that out, see how it goes. I use it on all my computers, my desktop, on my laptop, and my phone. I love it. Anyway, guys, I'm out of here for now. I appreciate you all. Make sure you thumbs up, comment, like, share, subscribe. Hit the all button next to subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.